Hi, I'm Tyson.
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam.
And we're the Gamesmiths, and we just got done playing Everyday Epic, and we want to talk to you a little bit about our experience with it. So first of all, this is, as you can tell, we had some fun with this. We got excited. I think we raised our voices a little bit. We got a little bit into it. We were trying to manipulate one another, and knowing the players at the table, I thought really helped with this, trying to figure out who would play this or understand this better and do it. Colin did really well with that last one. I mean, I liked the concept that
I won.
Ryan was playing the social card, because that's something he particularly feels thankful for, and then that wasn't necessarily as great. I have a hard time finding socks, and I really feel grateful when I find a matching pair of socks. So I think that knowing your players is a really good feature of this game, and we could have a lot of fun with this game. I think there's a lot of things within this game that feel familiar, so it's easily accessible, and it makes it a game that people can easily jump into. You could play this game with anybody.
I also think that one of the strengths of this game is it lends a little bit more to sharing and conversation and that kind of stuff, whereas some of the other variants of this game they have like less on the cards. They're more about like phrases, and they're more about jokes or whatever, and this seems to be more about stories. And so it gives an opportunity to like talk or expand on, I think, a little more than like the other type of games like this. It gives you the opportunity. I think there's a little more like meat on the bones here. Yeah, both to get to know people, and then also to like talk about like why this thing is fun or why this thing is cool. Whereas the other ones
you'll
are
just get
like,
a name of a famous
is it
person
funny? Yeah, like or that thing like that, you know, and that's kind of the question most of the time is, like, is it funny, or do you know this famous person, or you know, it kind of thing like that. And it's more like a joke competition, where this is more of encourages more of like a storytelling, like shared experience kind of thing, and talking about why you think this thing is epic, or why, you know, you love, you know, why you feel like you get drugged to a lot of social events and that's a pain, or why you feel like you're always matching socks and that's a pain. And so I think it facilitates a little more of the conversation than the other games do of this genre.
Yeah. My personal thoughts and experience here is that the game it does feel very similar to a small handful of games that I've played before, but I think though that style of game works. I usually enjoy the game. For whatever reason, I'm terrible at winning games like this.
Me too.
I don't know if I've ever won a game like this before, but I still have fun with them. You could see in the video I was genuinely having fun. I think we all were. And so to me it just works. It doesn't have to, for people who like this style of game and this is what they're looking for, it's just another variant, I guess, of a tried and true mechanic. And you didn't mess with the mechanic, which I think is smart. It works. Why mess with it? And you've just added your own element to it, which I personally think worked. And like Ryan had said, I like the story aspect of it. It helps people engage more than other games of this type. Well, I guess games like Cards Against Humanity, or you know, those
Apples to Apples, or
those help you engage. I guess that is a little more engaging than an Apples to Apples, but so I see just a little bit has been changed, but I think it works, and I don't see a problem with that. A lot of times, there's nothing wrong with taking something that's known to work and putting your own little spin on it, and that could be very successful.
And I think it has a recipe for success with that model, as that model has been very successful for Cards Against Humanity and Apples to Apples. Cards Against Humanity is dominating the market with what they've got going on right now. I mean, Apples to Apples still sells because it's very family friendly. This would have that appeal as well, that it would be very family friendly, and so it's got a lot of things going for it. My concern from just a marketing standpoint is how do you get this in front of somebody? I don't see this as being successful on like Kickstarter. I don't see this as, because people who, there's a certain crowd that goes to Kickstarter and they're typically hobby gamers, and this game doesn't really necessarily fit that niche. This, if you could get it into like a Hasbro or a Mattel or or like get it into Target somehow, then the type of people who are going to most enjoy this game are going to have access to it. But that's a hard road to trod. So, but that's obviously not part of the design issue. I do see an uphill battle for where this goes from now. If your goal was just to have a fun game to play with friends, and a fun game to play with people and maybe sell locally or things like that, this does really well at that, and it creates an enjoyable experience that, like they were saying, you can tell these stories and you can have these experiences. But I don't know. So it depends again on what your direction is. If you're trying to be the next Cards Against Humanity or the next Apples to Apples, I think that this is not distinct enough to really stand out in that market as being able to top one of those. But if that's not your goal, then this does really well.
Well, it's happened a lot before where people really like a mechanic or really like doing something and they just want a new way to do it. So I guess what you're banking on is, is there still room? Are people still craving more games like this and just a new version of it? Because then it'll sell really well, or it'll move really well. If people are like, okay, that was fun, but that fad's kind of now past, I'm not looking for a new way to do that same mechanic again, then you're not. But it could still be.
I agree, which is why I said that
doing what you like doing in a slightly different way gives you all the newness back, but keeps that same.
Which is why I said that this would do better off of like a Kickstarter platform, because
away from a Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, not doing it going Kickstarter, because I've seen this style of game in political form, I've seen it in romantic form, I've seen it in a bunch of different forms on Kickstarter, and they don't often end up very successful. And so it's just knowing your audience it's what I'm saying here. This is a good game for that type of audience, that they love this mechanic, but how do you get it in front of that audience? That's the trick with this one. Not necessarily the design, because it's fairly simple. Though I think there was only one really thing that we struggled with from like questioning like how does it work, and that was with Colin playing with
I had all those extra wild cards. I obviously played them incorrectly, or my problem was not understanding. It doesn't really feel right if you have to play a card and then play another card right after. I don't feel the advantage of it, because first of all, you have to know I'm going to play this, and then you need to quickly know exactly what you're playing right after that. And I feel like people have the opportunity to maybe change their mind at that point, and they still have all the cards in their hand. They know what they can play. So you have your 7 cards, and that's it. If you have a card that changes your category, or changes any element of it, you're ultimately at a disadvantage, because you have then 6 cards that you can use instead of 7, when everyone else still has 7 cards. So I ultimately think it puts you at a disadvantage. I didn't really like the feel of it, and I mean, I think it's fine, but it was a little clunky. And it kind of goes against the spirit of the game, I feel like. I mean, I personally like this type of game. I think it's fun. I obviously won. I understand how to play it. I don't play my own personal, this is what I think feels good. I just look at my 7 options and say, what is the best fit for this? Because you only have 7 choices, and I don't know how many cards you have. You're like over 100, probably 200.
164 or something like that.
So you have lots of different varieties. You obviously have lots of category cards that are going to fit certain things, and it's like a puzzle piece when you play this. There's a piece to the puzzle that just fits perfectly in with some of these category cards, and no matter what, there's going to be a card that works best for feeling lucky or feeling happy or any kind of adjective that you want to place there. There's going to be the perfect card for there that's probably going to trump every other card. So as long as you have that and you kind of know, you might be able to figure out this game and then just know, oh yeah, that one's the best one. And depending on people's personal opinions,
That's what I was going to say.
people's personal opinions may favor some, like peeling an orange over smelling grass or any of that. But it works. I mean, we've obviously played gifts before and apples to apples and Cards Against Humanity. I thought it was lighthearted. It was fun. I think it could be marketed in maybe even, I don't know, churches or something. Like go in church
Sure.
lobbies and try to market this off. I think you could be successful. The speed rounds, I didn't care for the speed rounds. Maybe it's because there was only 4 of us playing, so that means 2 people ultimately get eliminated because there's the judge and then there's the 2 people that are going head to head. So instead of getting 3 choices, you're having to pick between 2, and depending on people's hands, you're not necessarily going to have something that fits any of the categories. So you could be faced with a situation where you're picking between 2 cards that like, well, that doesn't fit and that doesn't fit either. So I guess I'll just pick the one that doesn't fit. And so the more options you have, the more fun the game is going to be, the more you actually have to make a decision between the more options, the harder it is, and the more, I don't know, I like the more variety, and then the higher the stakes are for everyone else is playing, like, I really want that point, I want that point, but now you take somebody else, you have a feel-bad situation now, so somebody's like, oh, I didn't even get the choice because I have a bunch of cards in my hand that are like an entire sentence that I have to read through. I only have a couple seconds to make that decision because everyone else has already put their card down. And I just don't have the opportunity to even like sort through and find what I need. And then I'm gone. And that happened to these guys. I was a little quicker to be able to make those decisions somehow. But it doesn't always happen. But yeah, those are my concerns. I think just it doesn't have to be a fast speed round game. This is a fun game where you sit around with your family or your friends and you just kind of make your decisions. And I don't think you need to speed it along. If you're speeding it along, you're saying this game isn't fun enough to keep going. In my opinion, if you're trying to wrap it up halfway through.
Well, this game could easily be called Stop and Smell the Roses too. Like just the vibe you're going for is asking people to take time out and appreciate the little things in life.
Yeah.
And adding speed to this game doesn't help that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked
totally,
the
totally
beginning of the game when you're slowing down. You have 3 choices. So you're like, You have people lobbying more, saying, "Oh, maybe that one's a little better." You're getting a lot more discussion in the first half of the game than you are in the second half, and I like that.
Well, and remember that we
just made the second.
Yeah, we
superimposed
did, but it is a variant in your game, and we tried it. So
Yeah.
that's just my feedback for that variant, and I absolutely don't have to play with it, but
Yeah.
I know.
No, I'm the same. My negative feedback kind of mirrors Colin there, where I don't think this game benefits from gamification actually, and putting things in there like wild cards and swap 'em ups and speed round and everything like that. I think that when this game works at its best is when you have pure fun's the category, and you have 3 things down in front of you that are equally pure fun, and everybody's lobbying against. You arguing which one is the best. I think that's a lot more fun. And so I would look at doing something that more encourages that mechanic. Something that my girlfriend liked to do a lot when she played apples to apples with her friends is to deal a random card in to every hand. And so the 3 of these guys would each push one down, and then a 4th one would go down. So actually no one could end up the winner. And there was a 4th card there that was nobody's. And so people would just be arguing kind of the merits of everything. And you weren't necessarily trying to figure out whose was whose, because there's one there that nobody knows what it is.
That's a good mystery.
And I think that
Yeah.
maybe adds a little more conversation. I think when this game, like I said, when this game works the best is everybody having 3 or 4 things that all really fit the category, and people arguing over which one is truly the most, epic little day moment kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
So, or which one, best fits the category? Because you'll see a lot of, you'll go through, the first thing you do is go like, okay, well, this one's definitely not pure fun. I'll get that out of there. But these are both pretty fun. And now you have like a little bit of a game. So I would encourage more of that. I think that's where your game is strong and differentiates itself from the other type of games, like Colin said, with these longer cards that have stories on them that encourage other people to tell stories too.
So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to disagree, but before I disagree, I'm going to actually preface my disagreement with a couple of things. First, I think that I could see this game being more fun with the longer gameplay, given more player count. A higher player count, this game becomes a lot more enjoyable with that, because you have more choices on the table. It's not as easy to try and single any one person out and things like that. So it could be more that the player count for this is not ideal for 4.
Right.
Not that we didn't have fun, because I think we had fun with it at 4. But I think a higher player count is more suitable to this style of game. So that's the preface number 1. Preface number 2 is that I personally am not a huge fan of this style of game. In fact, I usually avoid it if it's being brought out at a party. I mean, I'll play it, especially if everybody else is doing it, because I want to be part of the group. I want to be supportive and not the killjoy. But it's not the style of game that I actively go for. So with that, you'll have to take my next statements with a grain of salt, considering that this is not my style of game at all. So they were saying that they don't like the speed variant, they don't like the quick play option, and that was actually really fun to me. I liked it a lot. I thought it was an interesting way, because I could gamer it a little bit more. I could know that, and I think I even said this in the video, that if I get my card out fast enough, if I get a semi-okay option that matches those, in a 4-player game, that gives me a 50-50 shot now.
Right,
and so my chances aren't bad at all. So I don't have to worry, and if I'm going for winning, that's what it is. But again, I don't think the game is necessarily designed for winning, because it's more about the experience of the game. And so the winning could be as easy as whoever gets the first 6 cards, or play until you're done playing. So the winning is not really the experience with this game. But that's how I like to play. So with that, I do like the speed variant. I wouldn't necessarily take it out, but I would keep it in the mindset that this is definitely a variant. The intention of this game, if this is the intention of the game, is to have the experience that Ryan and Colin were just talking about, and to have that longer kind of narrative dialogue, kind of having this exchange of fun stories and long experiences, and trying to work one another, and kind of having that casual experience. And if that's what it is, that's fine. But I personally enjoyed the speed variant for the sake of what it did, and I think it helps it stand out from Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples. But again, that's just my 2 cents, and I know that that's different than everybody here at the table.
Yeah, well, and my biggest reason for that is just because the sentences are so long. So
But I liked that. Yeah. I liked the pressure of, I don't have time to read this entire sentence. I've got to go. That was kind of fun for me. I liked that.
But then you just run into the problem that you're just throwing something down that doesn't match.
I know,
and
but
then
I'd say that matches my
anyway.
style. Right. That matches my style is all I'm saying.
It just doesn't fit the theme of the game when you do it, though.
But I like it is all I'm saying.
Well, so, you can like what you want to like.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You have any thoughts on this, Adam?
I think it's real. To me, it's really simple. It's a very accessible game. It's a tried and true mechanic. A lot of people love it. I think you've added your little spin to it, which makes it, for me, different enough for a new crowd to pick it up and really enjoy it. And so I can see what Tyson's saying about the marketability. That could be an uphill battle. But I think you find the right people, the right niche, and find the right way to get in front of them and market it and communicate it the right way. I think you could. I think you could do something with the game. So,
I think Adam said well. You got a tried and true. You got a tried and true mechanic here that you've found a good little take on, another niche to do. And if you can find your audience for it and find a market for it, it's got a chance to survive. And you also got some interesting ideas in there that are definitely worth playing with to differentiate yourself inside the genre and on the shelf next to other games like this. But other than that, thank you for sending us your game and keep up the good work.
Yeah.